I certainly hope that when you will hear this message, the war will be over, peace and tranquility will have been reestablished, and in fact, you won't even hear the message because we will all be dancing together with Mashiach in the Beis Hamikdash. But unfortunately, at the moment where I am recording this message, the war is still going on. People are still being displaced. There's a lot of suffering going on. So, let me start with the Perek Tehillim, which I'm sure you will not have to say because you will be dancing with the happy songs of the Tehillim. Shir Amal Saladanu Batzorasili Korose Veyaneni Adonai Atil Nafshi Misval Shekim Loshon Remiyo Mayit Elochom Yosef Loch Loshon Remiyo Chitze Giver Shunim Gach Leresom Im Oyeli Gigati Mesho Shchantim Ole Kedor Rabas Shochno Lo Nafshi Misani Sholem Ani Sholem V'Chiada Beheim Olam Milchama. Tzedakah, as we say, is important. Let us put some tzedakah. And now let us share a little Torah thought. And I will elaborate on what we started talking yesterday about the Aleph, the little Aleph Vayikra, and we related the story how the Tzemach Tzedek was brought into Cheder by his Zayde, it's called Yiddish, Areingeführt in Cheder, bringing in the child into Cheder, and this is a big celebration, a big custom. So I just want to go through some of the reasons and what is being done at that moment. But first the question. When is a father obligated to begin teaching his son? Torah. There's a biblical command that we say with the English, Vishinantam levonecha. A father has an obligation to teach his son, to teach his children, Torah. At what moment in the child's life does this obligation become pertinent? So the Alter Rebbe says in Hilchas Talmud Torah, when the son, the little boy, knows how to speak, then he should teach him the verses Torah tziva lanu Moshe merosha kilas Yaakov. He can sing it with him, Torah, 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 etc. And Shema Yisrael. These are the two things that the father should start first to teach his little child. From what age? As he says, from as soon as he can speak. But then becomes a moment when the child progresses, where there is a need to start formal education. Formal, obviously, in a childish way. There is no specific time, but custom has become that this is usually right after the Abschernish at the 3 age, when we do the haircutting ceremony of the little boy. After this, the day afterwards, we bring him into Cheder. Some, although have this custom at the age of 5, it's more common 3 years old. There's a whole process. And this is based, actually, on the famous Siddur from Rabbi Yaakov Emden, where he calls it Hachanasa lebeis hamelamed, the introducing to the house of the teacher, and also based on what we mentioned yesterday, where it's described how the Tzemach Tzedek was brought to Cheder by his Zayde, the Alter Rebbe. So in the morning, the father brings his child to Cheder, where the child is completely wrapped in the tallis, leaving the house, in the house still, to wrap the child in a tallis. Whatever way you transport the child, in the carriage or in the car, the child stays like this, wrapped in completely. And as the child is wrapped like this, he's being brought into the classroom or where the Cheder, the Melamed is, putting him in on his lap. Child is then uncovered, puts the talus on the shoulders. And the idea for covering is to protect the child from the evil eye, and also for the child to know that there are things in the world which are better not to be seen. And then the child is being asked, in Chabad custom, pointed out to the letter Aleph in the Tanya. Having pointed out to the Aleph, the Rebbe will then go through the whole Aleph base, asking the child to repeat with him the Aleph base, back and forth, and each time gives him a little bit of honey which is on the letters, gives him also the opportunity to say a bracha. They throw candies on the child as Malach Michael, who is the Malach of blessing, throwing on this child. We give him then a piece of honey cake, an oily piece of honey cake, where certain verses particularly is written on it, verses where there is the child prays, God has granted me a tongue of instructions to appreciate the need of studying Torah, all different things as introducing the child with the warmth, with the beauty of the study of Torah. He's then given a hard-boiled egg, again with letters written, verses written again about the importance of Torah, and then finally the child is released from the teacher's lap, gets all kinds of goodies, brought home, and custom has it to make actually a celebratory meal, emphasizing the importance of starting a child with teaching Torah.